Hi guys and welcome to my review of the Moto X. I know, very late to the game, but still I finally got the chance to test the X, the G and the E. I will review each of them and also make a big comparison just for you to see how a low-end device compares with a mid-ranger and the flagship from Motorola. But let's not waste any more time and check the X. Here it is. Once again, I want to make a quick size comparison just so you have some. Here it is with the Sony Xperia Z3. Also 5.2 inches, and you can see it is a lot shorter. In terms of width, pretty much the same. It is a little bit thicker with 10 millimeters, but you won't really notice that in normal use. Here it is with the G. As you can see, a little bit wider, but pretty much the same height. So they've done a great job in keeping it really small and compact here with the E. As for the device now itself, as you can see, of course the design itself is a personal taste, but I actually like it. A few people think the curve here is a bit too big, but it lies very comfortably in the hand. I really like it. And also one thing I have noticed that I really like, at first when I always saw it in the store, I thought, this curve, why is it here so much thinner than it is up here? It should be very top heavy, but actually due to the whole design it doesn't feel like it at all, and I like this thinner. Of course it sacrifices a little bit of battery, but still it lies very great in the hand. As you can see, the bezel is quite small, no problems here at all. It does feel very rugged due to the metal frame here. I would always wish to be a little bit more metal because you don't really grip on too much metal, but the metal itself gives it a very sturdy feel. It is really robust. Also the back is very stable. The back itself, I have to say, at least on this standard black model, isn't my personal taste, because it feels like a very smooth leather or some kind of soft touch, and it doesn't just give you the grip that I would actually want to have. But we have Moto Maker, you can choose another one and that's no issue. Here in Germany it is because of the price, because this standard model costs 350, but if you want Moto Maker you have to pay 480. And if you want the bigger model and so on, you would be at 600 euros. So yeah, not the biggest fan of this one, but still otherwise it feels nice, but I would wish for more grip. But since the design and overall is so compact and nice to hold with really smart curves, because here as you can see you have a slight angle here, and that is exactly the angle when I use my finger to hold on. And that makes it really grippy, so I never felt like it would drop out of my hand. So that is really nice. Let's check the ports and buttons here right now. Here we have the volume rocker. It does have a nice tactile clicky feedback. Same for the power button, but there I even love so much more because it has a texture and it is nice to feel on. I would still wish for those two buttons to switch or maybe go down a little bit, because for me this is the natural position. I always had to grip up, but yeah, that's a minor thing. On the top we have the headphone jack. Here we have the SIM card tray. Both very nice and logically placed. Otherwise there's only the micro USB at the bottom. That's pretty much it. Here we have the dimple that doesn't have a function. It is nice to hold on if you have it flat, but otherwise I don't mind it that much. It's okay. Mine doesn't wobble at all like some people's. And here we have the camera. So I have to say, in terms of build quality, it just feels great in the hand. It is so compact, it is so nice, it is so small. I also like the protruding speaker. Some people don't like so much, but it gives me something nice to hold on if I put it out of my pocket. So it does feel substantial. Maybe not as substantial as the Z3, because I don't know, this feels a little bit more, not sturdy, but substantial, more heavy, because this is almost too lightweight with 144 grams. But it is super compact and I like this. It is built absolutely fine, placement, everything, so I don't really have to complain anything in terms of design. Everything is just great. So now I want to check the display, my thoughts on the display. Here we can see we have 5.2 inches with AMOLED, and yeah, as you can see here, it is definitely sharp enough. I have no problems at all. It doesn't look as sharp as some other 1080p's, but it's still a very sharp one, no issues at all. As for the white, not the biggest fan. Of course on the camera again it looks red, but I think red is what in reality looks more yellow, because it is quite a yellow screen. Not the biggest fan of it. If you go off axis again, as you can see here, this would be my perfect white that I would wish for, but on axis it is a little bit less. So it is definitely not the best white, but you can get used to it if you don't have an accurate device by your side all the time. The black absolutely great. AMOLED blacks, can't really stress it enough how much I love them. Colors, not realistic, overblown, oversaturated, and just not true to life. But same as on the Nexus 6, I don't care. They pop, they look vivid, they look nice. And that is all I care on a phone for. If you want it accurate, okay, look for something else. And I would wish for some color adjustment options, but Motorola just doesn't give you this, so yeah. But otherwise, I like the colors. Viewing angles are absolutely stable. No, I had almost no rainbow at all. They were stable. And in those angles you usually look at, you won't have any issues. So in overall, I'm absolutely happy with the screen, nothing to complain. Maximum brightness is good, not perfect. I've seen brighter screens, but it was nice enough for me. It was also very dimmer than a few other devices, so nothing to say here. And in terms of display, it is not the best display. It is definitely, from all the flagships out there right now, one of the weakest, I would say. It doesn't mean it is a bad display, but from all the high-end flagship, the only one I did like a little bit less was the G3 because of the oversharpening. That has been fixed maybe, but still I would prefer this after all. So yeah, that's it for the display. Let's check the sound now. My thoughts on the sound, I have to say, I am absolutely pleased. Okay, we don't have stereo front facing, we have only one, but it is loud. It is very loud. It is not super rich. There is not really a lot of bass, but the mids and highs are stable. I had almost no distortion at all. I would say no distortion at all. And it was loud, and that is important for me because the sound experience for me on a phone doesn't have to be hi-fi. I don't want a hi-fi sound because I don't expect something like this on a smartphone. I just want it loud so I can watch with a few friends, maybe a YouTube video, so I get all my ringtones notifications and I get all this. It is front facing, that is great because I don't block it. Sound is good, absolutely fine. Not the best one out there, but one of the loudest, so it is still very high on top of the, so nothing to complain here. Let's check the performance now. Okay, here we are. As you can see here, we are running Android 5.0, not 0.1 yet, but I heard it would be even smoother because as you can see here, it is very smooth, no issues at all. It does stutter and hang a little bit, lag from time to time. So it is not anything major, but still, as you can see, it does stutter ever so slightly at sometimes. And I noticed when I got this device with 4.4.4, it was pretty much the smoothest 4.4.4 device I ever used. That was really nice to see. But with the update to Lollipop, there are some hangs and stutters. But I talked with a few people that already used the soak test 5.1, and they said this lag and stutter is gone, but therefore also the battery is a little bit less. But as you can see, the performance is still absolutely nice, absolutely fine, and I can't really complain. Also multitasking, as you can see here, it is still a snappy device, no issues here at all, absolutely fine. Also the launch times, there's not anything to complain about. It is not as fast as the Nexus 6, not maybe as fast as the Sony Xperia Z3, but still with 5.1, and if they really fix this, it should be on par with them. But even without that, it is still absolutely fast and still brilliant, and nothing to complain about. And let's check the gaming performance right now. It will load a bit, but maybe I will just fast forward that, because I have to say the gaming performance is absolutely nice. I didn't have really any issues because it was pretty much on par with all the other 5. Let's drop that down. It was pretty much on par in terms of performance with all the other 801 devices I had so far. So here we are. The game has now loaded, and as you can see, you will see it right away. I'm absolutely fine with the gaming performance. It was playable at all times, very smooth, and pretty much in line with what I saw on all the other 801 devices. No problems here at all, very smooth. All the games ran fast, all the games ran smooth. So yeah, as you can see here, this is fine. There is a little bit of lag and stutter all, but sometimes a little bit, but nothing really to be concerned about. Okay, I think that's enough. Performance, it is not the very best of the bunch, but still nothing I would complain about. The little lag I had was nothing that really bothered me in real life, only when I was looking for it during the review. absolutely fine. Still not the very best, but still good. And for the battery life, I lost my stats that I noted, but from what I still remember, it was 1 hour at about 55-60% of charging, and at 1 hour and 50 you were fully charged. Good result. Everything close to 2 hours is absolutely fine. The battery life itself though is not so convincing. I had a usual, I would say over 20 hours, I got like 3.5 hours. And on a heavy day, and actually last day, I had only 2 hours of screen on time over like 18 hours with 4 hours of podcast streaming. That is quite a bad value. But I would expect it is like maybe 10-15% less than what I got on the Nexus 6. It was still okay, but just not groundbreaking. And right now, these days, how less I use my device, it would be good enough. But half a year ago, with 4 hours, 5 hours of screen on time a day, I wouldn't have made it. So I would expect something about 3.5 hours over 15 hours of screen on time with a brightness that I used always fixed at 50%. Definitely not a great value, and it won't be enough for a lot of people out there, especially for the power users. But for the casual user, it should be still fine, but yeah. And I also heard 5.1 even got down, but it could be fixed. But yeah, that's it for that. The next thing in line, let me quickly check, would be the software. Okay, let's check the software then. We have 5.0 to 5.0, as you can see here. So there can still be a lot of things fixed because 5.0 just wasn't the best from what we know. Everything else otherwise, and we know it from Motorola, is stock. I don't use the stock launcher right now, but still the stock launcher is pretty much the same, and now I disabled it. But if we go into the settings and see what else we got. So expect everything you get on stock with a few additions like maybe Moto apps. And I have to say, as much as I like the stock approach and the minimal approach of the TouchWiz UI, no, I said TouchWiz UI, I meant the Motorola UI. I don't like the Moto actions so much because there are assist actions and voice, but I have to say all of this is quite annoying because I'm using this device for about 10 days now, and still day after day after day I get one notification. So hey, did you check actions? Do you know you can talk to your device and all this? And I found it to be annoying. Okay, we have ambient display, which is nice because you don't have to turn on the power button and so on. But it turned on quite a lot of times when I didn't want it. Also voice activation, it did turn on phrases that doesn't sound like mine that I set up at all. So in terms of performance, I mean software, I have to say the stock minimal approach is great, but what Motorola actually did with their convoluting software, because we have now two ways of doing the night block mode. If you don't want to do not disturb mode, you have the lollipop inbuilt one and you have the Moto one, and they even say they couldn't interfere, and this is something that they should have gotten for one, or at least give me an option. I wanted this and then I want this, but I don't want to use both, so I would like to turn off one or the other. And also the new notifications I got every day, my highlight reel of the day. So I think they went a little bit over the top in adding their own stuff in my face. If I can turn it off and don't have to bother about it anymore, it's okay. Okay, I have the device only 10 days, and I think after a month or so these notifications won't show up anymore. But things like a video popping up with a little thing, and when I tap it, a video starts, things they shouldn't have been done. I'm not saying the software is bad, and also it is 5.0. Once they have 5.1, it will be more, not that it was unstable, it was stable all the time. It was great, but this is what I meant. So, okay, I have to now about the camera, because I almost forget that once again. I have to say everyone bashes the camera, but I actually don't really see the need for it, because okay, it is no Note 4 camera, it is no iPhone camera, but it is definitely far from being bad. I took pictures and it did have quite fast shutter times. It was almost instantly all the time, and it did focus what I wanted most of the time. Sometimes it didn't get it, but every phone once in a while struggles with getting the focus on something or getting the right motive. That was fine. It did catch quite a lot of detail. It wasn't the sharpest camera. I think a lot, the edges and so blurred out of the times, but otherwise the depth of field was quite okay for what it is compared to the Nexus. It was a little bit better, but also not so much better. There are a lot of phones with better cameras, but I wouldn't see this camera as a deal breaker as so many others do, because I see a lot of people saying the overall qualities of this phone are so good that I can live with the sacrifice of the not so great camera. But for what I would use my camera and for what most of the people would use their camera. It does a fine job for Instagram, Twitter, Google+. It is more than fine enough. If you go on a monitor and check the pictures, then you will see they are a little bit blurry. Maybe something is lost in the detail. The focus isn't perfectly, but that's pretty much it. Okay, low light, it wasn't that great. It did have quite a lot of noise and it got blurry. Okay, video, maybe not amazing, but it did catch the video. You could everything see quite sharp with quite a lot of detail. Not perfect, but it is far from being a bad camera as everyone gives it reputation. I was fine with it. I would have been fine. Okay, I know there are a lot of better cameras, but for the price I'm paying here with 350, if I go with 350, the camera is totally okay. So I got everything. If I check my stats, okay, and now I want to get to the recap as I always do, because I just want to have it all just one compact. Okay, design, amazing. It feels great. It is sturdy. It is compact, top. Display, from all the flagship, I would say one of the weakest, but this doesn't mean it is bad. It is just the weakest of the best. See it as it is, or you could say it is still a very good after all. So the only thing I would complain about is the too yellow white, especially if you have a lot of devices alright. Because if I use this and then check my laptop when I'm working on something, I see the difference, and it is just too white, too yellow then. But nothing really major. If you use it outside, you won't notice. Sound, very loud. Not the best sound experience, but totally fine because the overall package sounded just good. I have no problems with it. Loud with a good tonal balance. No problems here at all. Performance, I wouldn't say it's the weakest part here, but because all the other qualities are quite on a high level, this is also on quite a high level, but not quite on flagship level. Because it was smooth most of the time, but there was also quite a lot of stutter in between, a little bit of lag and so on. From what I know, it is fixed on 5.1, and if that's the case, even better so, because in daily use it was something that I never really bothered because it was still snappy, it was still smooth, still fine. The next thing, battery, yeah, that is definitely the most disappointing thing here. With about 3.5 hours barely, you can get away with it, but I think it will be an issue for a lot of people. The charging is okay. If you can charge it up, it is no problem. And if the battery isn't something that important for you, you shouldn't mind it. But if it is, there are better alternatives here. Just saying. As for the software, yeah. Stock Android minimal approach, great, but quite annoying what Moto did there. The additions they have, I don't personally like them, but I know a lot of people do. And that is all fine, but you don't have to throw it in my face day after day after day so many times. That's pretty much the only complaint. If I can turn it off, it is still fine because the software, it is still clutterless, bloat-free, so still great. Camera, as I said, not the best one out there, but far from being not good enough. I had no problems at all. It was fine. Not the best, but way more than good enough for a phone. After all, okay, I know for a lot of people the phone camera is very important, but for anyone that it isn't so important, it is still totally fine. So, would I recommend it? The thing here is with 350 it has a great value because right now it is 350 euros here for the standard black version in Germany, which is a good price. Definitely no complaints here at all. But if I want the Moto Maker version, because then I would like to have a different backing or so, then it is 480. And if I want the 32 GB, then it is 580. And if I want Moto Maker, I think leather, it was 600. So you see almost double the price just for a different design, and you have to decide if that's worth it for you. Maybe you can, I don't know why the Moto Maker is so much more expensive than the standard version. But in the US, I think the price difference is way lower. You can get the Moto Maker version for way less. And 400 for this device with customized and with 34 GB is a great value. It isn't my first choice because the battery would be barely good enough for me, but coming from the Z3 it is just not good enough. And so what else is there to say? The last things I would say, if the camera isn't that important, and when I say it isn't that important, but still isn't that important, and the battery life is really no issue for you at all, it's a great device because it is compact and it has a lot of cool values, maybe not the best ones after all, then yes, because display is nice, sound is great, design is amazing, stock software is still good. So my verdict, it is a great phone with a few flaws that could be deal breakers for some others. Yeah, okay. That's it, another uncut video. If you liked it, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. I know this is a bit long and I will try to make it shorter next time, but yeah, still. Okay, bye. I'll be back.